Come to Remora TC to trade like a shark and not get eaten by one. Let's school together to protect and grow our money. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's been a week since we've done a review of the tickers, so let's get started. Right off the bat, we've got triple Qs here. You can see very distinctly this big red line right here. This was the Friday price action. You can see on the volume candle down below that, let's see, 97 million shares pass hands. And to me, that's a huge indication of selling by the big players, the sharks. We've observed a lot of bearish divergence over here. Hence, I put the sharks and all the RSI divergence down here. And with that, I feel that the beginning of the selling is really starting. So overall, my prediction is unchanged, right? The direction still is the same. I'm just going to slide my arrow to the right a little bit, where you can see that I intend for it to come down here, hit the support line here at around 555 or so, bounce a little bit, and then resume selling to then hit the 200-day, which you can see here, and really to do the gap fill. The gap fill is about down here, 490 or so. All right, that is triple Qs. Let's switch to the gold miners play, GDX. GDX remains up here. You can see my annotation that I think price will come down eventually, hit this trend line, bounce a little bit, come back up, retest this 76, and then come back down further. So really no change in the general direction for GDX. And all of this is based on the bearishness that's been built up for a while. It's built up since this $54 range. From 54 to where we are now, I'm just curious, 54 to where we are now, it's about a 50% move up. So if you were in the trade long still, and I know that one of my subscribers had gotten out of his trade, then yes, you would have missed this move, 50% up. In fact, I was already out. I wasn't in it long. I'm looking to short GDX. So let's wait until it breaks this trend line here, which is the this thick one here, this one. Okay, let's wait for the break, and then we can take it as a short play with the sharks. The target, though, let's take a look. I think the target is at least down to here, this trend line here. So let me annotate this a little bit further, extend this thick trend line out to about there. At the very least, down to this trend line where it will bounce. We'll take a bounce, and I think it will continue. What you do see is, you see this 200-day. So the 200-day has been moving upward here. It'll bounce on the 200-day a little bit. But then really the next target is this trend line down here. So I'm going to put this as a line like that. Oh, and in fact, just for consistency's sake, when I do my 200-day, it's the blue, not the, there you go, the blue, okay? So really, and let's continue with my annotation just for clarity for you all. So something like this, bounce, come down, bounce off of this, come down, bounce off of this, sell down further. Okay, kind of like that for now. All right, switching to the Bitcoin play, Microstrategy. A week ago, actually 2 weeks ago, I made the prediction that price will probably come down, bounce off of down here. And then in the past week, I kept this prediction, and indeed it's done that today. The past couple of days, you can see it's come down and use this 296 as support. Hence, I annotated it here as green. And that was due to the bullishness that I saw appear down here. Okay, the bullishness appeared. Hence, I put the whale to say that the big players are coming back in. And I felt that this zone here at 296 or so would be support. And indeed, that happened almost yesterday. Price came down yesterday to the low of 359 cents. Today, it got practically to that 296 price point. Let's go to the hourly just to show you. Yeah, they opened the day down there. They wicked it around. Essentially, it kissed it. And then it's come back down again. At the end of the day, to close at $300.65. To me, that is if you were to go long, that would be your entry. Okay. I'm not going to take this as a long. I haven't had success from my own psychology standpoint and from my own experiences trading Bitcoin proxy like MicroStrategy long. I haven't had much success from a psychology standpoint. So it's always been easier for me to find the levels to short MicroStrategy because I've had more success. Hence, my confidence is greater on the low side, on the downside for MicroStrategy. Not to say that the way in which I trade and make predictions doesn't work to the long side. It's just as you trade more and you find a strategy that works for you, you have to understand from a psychology standpoint how you will behave when price moves a certain way. If you are more confident trading the long side, buying low, selling high, then you need to find the right setup that permits you to do that. For me, the setup is always easier to find and to trade the short side for certain tickers, especially for MicroStrategy. Hence, I'm not going long on this, but my prediction is unchanged. I think it's going to use this 296 as support and continue to move upward, going through the 200-day eventually, and maybe even hitting this dark red line that I've annotated here at around 397 before there is a revisit to the downside. So I'm waiting for the short, but right now it's not a short, so I'm not taking a trade. Right now the setup is a long. Let's go to Bill Gates' favorite company. He's made a wonderful living with Microsoft. And I talked how Microsoft's price action is testing and continuing to retest the gap fill yellow box. So you can see that bearish divergence occurred back to the left in the July timeframe. Annotated the sharks here to say that the selling will begin because the momentum change has taken place. Indeed, on earnings, big gap up, sell down, a lot of profit taking here, a lot of profit taking all throughout this range here. You can see the volume candles here are very red, a lot of selling here. Then you can see some balance selling and buying, decent buying on this day, 52 million shares. But then you can see that, as I indicated, that within this gap fill, the top edge of it would be resistance. Price hasn't even come up there yet. So I think the selling will resume, okay? My annotation here with the arrow and the general direction is unchanged for the low prices for Microsoft. Take your profits and wait for an entry to go long. Right now, it's not the time. I've been saying this for a long time. Switching to Tesla. Tesla is behaving as I predicted. The bearish divergence here, you can see. And price action up here, I put the shark to say, hey, they're telling one another to get out. And I also talked about how once price broke this trend line here, which it did, it broke here and finally stayed under, that this trend line would be resistance. And indeed, it has been for the past few days, 3-4 days. The overall direction remains to the downside. You can see my annotation. No change in the annotation. And then I also put this red line, red annotation underneath this trend line, to say likely price will get under it, in which case this trend line would then be resistance, okay? The overall target, I think the general move will be to the 200-day at least, and then down to this 322 minimally before we revisit how Tesla's next move will set up. Let's go over to Palantir. All right, Palantir here. No change in my overall annotation and prediction. Just slide the 200-day over. You can see that it's been using the top edge of the gap fill to be support. You can see it there. And the overhead resistance for this trend line remains there. The overall direction remains unchanged to the downside. Once it breaks this top edge of the gap fill support, it will continue to break down. I'll just slide this to the right, okay? So the overall direction remains to the downside for Palantir. All right. And while we're at it, just zoom out just to kind of give us a lay of the land. You can see this huge gap down here that will get filled. It's around the $41 range. It will get filled. It's just a matter of time and when it will happen. Okay. And here's an interesting one. It's this purple trend line. Allow me to extend it. Give me a moment. I'm going to extend it, and we'll talk about the significance of this purple trend line. This purple trend line on the weekly chart goes back, let's see, years, okay? Goes back to 21. So you can see all the support here, some fighting here, some resistance here, more resistance, more resistance. And then we're in this time zone over the past couple of months where price has been fighting above it. Again, this is the weekly chart. Each candle is a week. The reason why I want to review this ticker from this perspective is to highlight that once price breaks down through the gap fill and eventually will break down underneath the purple trend line, that trend line is there's a lot of memory. The algorithms remember. And that what they will remember is when price moves above it, it should stay above it. But if it doesn't, it will stay underneath it for quite some time. So we're going to keep a good track of it. I'm looking forward to taking a short underneath the purple trend line. Yeah, because the setup would be beautiful to perhaps at least get to this trend line here. Let's annotate this one as well. This is also on the weekly. Goes like this. All right. And then to the gap fill, okay? So that is Palantir. General direction is down. No change there. Northrop Grumman, all right. You can see it's dancing up here. Last week I talked about how this trend line, this one, price is observing it and behaving on it, underneath it and above it, so you can see it. Still, my overall direction is down. Let me take a quick peek here on the RSI. So I'm looking at this peak compared to this one. Okay, this one is lower. This pointy one is lower than this rounded one up here. Whereas price is further up over here, and price over here is further down. So to me, the bearishness remains. I'll adjust it like this, okay? You can't see it really well. It almost looks parallel, but as you zoom in, you can see the difference, okay? So the bearish divergence remains. I'm gonna put another shark over here just to highlight that it's another moment informing us that the sharks are gonna get out. And perhaps they'll do it on earnings, earnings over here, hit earnings and then sell. But we'll see. Earnings is always a highly manipulated, orchestrated It's an orchestrated move of price to permit the sharks or the whales to enter or sell their position. That's just how it works. Okay. Northrop Grumman, further low prices, no change in my general direction. Okay. If you're long Northrop, take your profits. Enjoy your profits. You know, Thanksgiving is coming up. Christmas is coming up. You can buy a nice gift for your family. Protect your profits. Let's head over to GM. Okay, GM broke down as I suspected, as in my overall direction. I thought there would be a little bit of a bounce here, and then the selling would resume, but there wasn't a bounce. You can see that a bunch of selling here. What's interesting is all that selling, there isn't a lot of volume on the selling, which is kind of weird. Okay, it's not conviction selling like this candle over here. This candle was 33 million shares on that day, whereas these are 10 million, 5 million. It's kind of light. So you can see that price was able to be affected by some dip buyers, which is fine. Dip buyers are going to push price up, likely come up to this spot here, hit that as resistance. Okay, it'll be resistance. So let's re-annotate this a bit. So there will be perhaps further buying, resistance, and then the move will go down. Okay, so let the buyers buy back in. I might take a short here because that would be an objective short. Yeah, right into resistance. And what people often say is, this flagging action when we deal with price movement, and I've annotated these flags before, but I'm going to do it again just for the benefit of more newer traders. So let's switch this so we can see it a little bit better. Let's make it like purple maybe. Can you see that? Let's see. All right, so the purple, or actually let's just make it black. All right, so this black line, that's one flag. And then what we'll do is we'll annotate the probably something like this. Okay, and I'm gonna go to the hourly just to help confirm how I drew this. All right, so something like this, like that. There you go. Because I'm looking at how this price on the hourly touches this line. So it's like this. So here's the, notionally it's like this. This is not a science, okay? And then we take this one, duplicate it, and where price breaks down over here, right? So there will be a point where price will break down underneath this flag. And so let's just assume it's like right here. Look at that. It comes to the 200-day, okay? As I was predicting to you. Anyway, I don't put a huge amount of conviction on these types of annotations, but the flag and everything like that. I do talk about the pizza wedge, which is, developing right here. Here's the pizza wedge, or the flag, as some people might call it. But this is just, technical analysis and the many ways in which you can annotate your charts. I try to keep it pretty basic, pretty simple, so that we don't get clouded by our own self-belief that we're really good at reading charts, because it's not a science, it's really an art. It's kind of like, when you're playing a sport against an opponent. All the training that you have will lead you to the battle on the playing field, and you have to read their body language, their momentum, the way they plan to run their plays, and how they want to trick you. You have to be able to analyze on the fly. So don't overwhelm yourself with tickers and indicators. Keep it simple so that you have a higher chance of understanding one or two things and understanding it well, so that you can succeed. Okay, let's go over to a couple longs here. GIS. It's one of the tickers I've talked about, and I'm in this long. I'm still in this long. Now you might say, hey, John, all this zone here a few weeks ago, I said was the accumulation zone, accumulation. Wow, not sure how to say the word. And I put the whale here to help inform folks that the big fish, the big whales, are going back into this trade. And I talked about how this is a good buy zone. And in fact, any of this would have been good. But now you should tell me, you say, hey, price is breaking down. When are you going to get out? So I'm going to analyze this for myself real quick, because I don't really set stops on either direction. And I have my own reasons for it. Often the sharks and whales understand where all the stops are. When you use a certain brokerage, certain brokerages will permit you to see where people put their trade, where they put their desire to buy, and where they put their desire to sell. You can see it, okay? And I'll talk about it in a different educational video, not in this video, but all that information is available to see. You can see how everybody else is intending to play. And with that, the sharks and whales then position big trades in with a lot of money, huge sizes, millions of dollars, such that they will wipe out those who put in stops purposefully. So they'll just do it to wipe out the stops, take their money, thank you very much, and then they'll do their real move. So because of that, I often look at volume. That's why I talk about volume so much. So right now, my quick peek, I'm going to do some support lines here. Give me a second here. Make this smaller. What I'm doing is I'm looking at the bottom edge, right? The open for this candle. So the opening price for this candle is the bottom edge. So on a green candle, the bottom part of the rectangle is the open, the day's open. That's where price opened. So I'm putting my line along here. Then I'm finding the next one, which would be this one right here. And let me move my line up a little bit so that price touches it there as support. You can see that as support. As we go over here, you can see that price used it during the day, this trend line, bounced off of it. And here's the key piece, okay? Yesterday's price action closed underneath this line. I'll just make it dashed so that we can see it and talk about it clearly. You can see yesterday's price closed beneath it. And then today's price action fought around, but then came back up with a little bit of volume to get above this trend line here, okay? I'm going to stay in the trade because my conviction is as such. I'll just extend it so that we can see perhaps in the future where it goes. And I'm going to leave this line here and we can revisit it. I'll just circle this as support. You can see price broke down underneath here on the red, but the next day bought back up. So there was some conviction to say, hey, let's bring it back up. That's support there. You can see here, price hit it during the day. Let's go to the hourly. Price hit it during the day on over here. So that little circle I drew, when I zoom in, you can see that on the open. So price in the first hour fought up and down on the open, Wednesday the 17th, and used it as support, okay, all the way down here. You can see it right here, okay? And then as we continue to look at the hourly chart and move to the right, you can see the behavior during the past couple of days. Yesterday, the big sell down on Monday, okay, the sell down, came underneath, attempted to reclaim it, got resistance, sold, continued to sell down. Today, Tuesday, price continued to move down, and then you can see price reclaimed this trend line. Now, take a look here at the RSI. This is the hourly So don't get so super duper excited. You can see on the hourly that there's bullishness. Okay. I don't make this stuff up. This is how it works. There's bullishness here. And based on that, I'm going to use the bullish green 2. Okay. So there it is. Okay. Bullishness. And then price reclaimed up here. I suspect tomorrow it will dance a little bit, but for the rest of the week it will stay above it and ultimately come back to hit the purple line. Okay, so let's see how far. What's my trade? I think I entered here. So there. So I'm down to where price ended today. Okay, I'm about 2% down. Okay, so I entered, I think at the maybe a little bit further up. It wasn't a perfect entry, so maybe there. So right now we're about 2%. So I'm still in the trade. It's conviction. I have conviction on how I read the charts for the long, so it's all good. And look, this price action is down here, which is further bullishness. Look at that. Okay, it just continues to build bullishness. Let's put another whale here. Okay, another whale here. Oops. How do I do that? All right. It's all there, I'm telling you. Let's go to UPS, the next one. UPS. All right. Look, I don't make this stuff up. I said good buying zone, and that this might be resistance up here. This is what, 87.50. Indeed, it's resistance. Prices come down, and look, I left my annotation here, this green one, as support, and that's what it's doing. It's continuing to provide support, okay? Which means this trend line is a supportive trend line. Okay, here's that one. All of this price action supports it. I mean, this is how to read it. This trend line, which goes this way, diagonal, price used it as support here, support, support. It attempted on these couple of days to go underneath it, but was brought back up. So support, support, support. Sold down, closed the day beneath it. Next day, what did they do? Brought it back up. All here, they're all attempting to go below, 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 but they all stay above the trend line. Again here, next day, brought it back up. To me, this trend line and the overall momentum direction is to the upside. You can see it. Just annotate this, look. Tremendous bullishness, okay? Tremendous. So there you have it. I'm still in this trade. And so let's see. Let's slide this over to the right. So we'll go, I don't think it'll test it much. Once it gets above it, above this 87.59, it'll keep going. So I think it'll go something like this. All right, up to the gap fill. Yeah, up to the gap fill. I'm just gonna slide this up. Okay, and that'll be some resistance there. At the same time, the 200-day sliding down this way. All right, so hit the 200-day. Okay, hit the 200-day, and then we'll revisit it. Will I get out of the trade? Probably not. I'll probably stay in the trade even if it hits the 200-day. And here, I think it'll do this. So it'll go up, hit the 200-day, get rejected, come back through. It'll hit the edge of the gap fill, right? It'll probably go through it, hit the top edge, come back down, do something like this, and then go up. I mean, it's an art, I'm telling you. But once you've seen enough of them, then you can expect certain behaviors around certain points. I mean, these are not people trading these stocks. These are money managers informing their software and mathematicians, software guys and mathematicians, to perform trades based on certain, I'll use the word memory based on prior price behavior at certain points. And for me, it's gap fills and trend lines. Okay, that's why it works for me. All right, and the last one, Lululemon, also a long. Okay, so I'll keep my annotation like this. I'm not changing it. The price movement is still within the zone where the trade is long. So I'm in this trade long. I think I took the trade somewhere over here. Okay, when it went into the gap fill, maybe a little bit higher, like here in the gap fill. It's come down, hit the bottom edge of the gap fill, but hey, I expect it to use certain areas as support. It will use all of this as support, and if it gets down here, it will use this trend line down here as support, which is fine, because I expect, this is what you expect. This is what you need to expect. Certain behavior, when your opponent likes to fake left and then do a turnaround, turn to the right, pivot to the right to do a jump shot, you should expect that behavior. 80% of the time they like to do that, then great. Anticipate that so that you can be in the right position for the right move. And that's just what this is. Okay, those are the tickers for this week. Good luck with your trades as usual. Give me a thumbs up, please. Like and subscribe. As always, good luck with your trades.